Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial showing you how to create from scratch this tennis ball in Blender. I'll be showing you how to achieve the mesh, how to do the texturing, and how to do the particle simulation for this tennis ball. Let's dive right in. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you're going to bring in a UV sphere, bring up the context menu here, bring up the sections maybe to 64, just so we have a bit more geometry going on here. Put yourself on the left hand side, get yourself into wireframe mode, press the 1 on your keypad to get yourself onto side on view, turn on X-ray mode, put yourself via the tab key into edit mode. What you then want to be doing is selecting exactly half of your mesh, which looks thusly. What we're then going to do is separate that into a separate object by pressing the P key by selection when this pops up. We now have a separate object, and on the right hand side you can do this manually, but on the right hand side it's easier if you rotate this by 90 degrees, and that does this lovely alignment. So we have exactly half the model 90 degrees. If you put yourself back inside on, what you want to do is take yourself off X-ray mode, select everything in object mode, press Ctrl J to join it back into one object. What we're then going to do is go into edit mode again, select everything, press M to merge by distance. Gives us merging of these exact points on the border here between the two objects, and they are now one object. If you then press hold Alt and click, you get a selection of the loop, which you might notice is kind of what we need to be dealing with when we're making our tennis ball. However, at this point I would select this loop here. You go for this loop here. What we want to be doing is Ctrl B for beveling. So make yourself a cut into that geometry that's wide enough for the reflective white strip that goes around your tennis ball. Press E to extrude that, create some more geometry, and then S while we're extruding to just bring that slightly in, just ever so slightly. So what we've got there is a very, very slight inset of that particular line that goes around the whole of the tennis ball. Now, here's a very important part. While we still have this all selected, go down to your materials tab down here at the top, sorry, bottom right. Select new from that list. It doesn't matter at that point what color it is. I actually, for this particular strip, whack up the metallic just a little bit, keep it on white. We can always adjust this later on. Press assign. Now you want to invert the selection that you've got here, so you press Ctrl I. That inverts the vertices you've got there. Then you can press plus on here to make a new material for the rest of the ball. Press new and make this perhaps some kind of green color. Again, it can be adjusted later. Press assign. Hi there, one key thing I forgot at this point of the tutorial, which I'm going to add in post, is while you've still got the inversion selected at this point, press Ctrl I to invert it once again. Go to vertex groups and add a group. You can call it whatever you want, and assign these vertices to that vertex group. Quite important at that stage. So if we go into object mode, what we then want to do is auto shade smooth on the entirety of that. What you might want to do is whack on a subdivision surface modifier if you've got the computing power for it. I find, however, you don't need that for this particular object in Blender because most of the effect is done via the hair simulation. Right, so Shift A to bring in a light. If you've got the 3-point lights add-on, you can enable that. Maybe an area light would be good at this point. Duplicate this for the other side as well if we do Shift D. So what we do with the sphere is we're going to add a particle simulation. Add particle system. What we're going to do is put it into hair mode. That makes your GPU go absolutely mental. We're going to turn on advanced. In fact, we're going to put it just on material preview mode rather than rendering mode. And we're going to have to up this to something like 30,000. And hair length down to 0.01. Hair length, you can do 0.02, I guess. That could be effective at that point. What we do want to do is vertex groups. Under density, we want to select group and we want to invert that. So what you'll notice is along the actual vertex that we assigned earlier, there is no longer any hairs coming straight off that. So that's quite important. What we also want to do is material O2 for the material. Again, what you can do is, what I would recommend actually is going into the shading workspace, just purely for the hairs on the tennis ball. What we like to do here, rather than having the principled BSDF, we can actually bring in a hair principled BSDF, change the color to green, and bring that into the surface. It just gives a bit more realism to those hairs. You won't be able to see it very much in this mode, but if we go into render mode, you can see that the hairs actually take on a bit more life. Okay, so where do we go from here? Well, we want to slightly tweak the render settings. You want to do interpolated for the children. Again, this will depend on how much processing power you have on your particular computer. What I've decided to show on the screen is a side-by-side comparison of two different renders of the tennis ball with their given settings in Blender. So do have a play around and see what works best for you. Thank you once again for watching this tutorial. If you do like it, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.